Hello again everybody, and welcome to the second episode of Hot Wheel Icon Stories. As you can see here in this episode, we'll be talking about the Mazda RX-7. The RX-7 is a pretty popular casting and is a fan favorite in pop culture like Initial D or the Fast and Furious franchise. So in front of me I have the three generations of RX-7. Let's get these open, starting with the FB. So we're starting with the first generation of RX-7, the FB, and this casting in particular is really cool. I really love the color combo, I love the blue tint on the windows, the wide body kit. It's very period correct. But let's get to the fun part and get this thing open. Here it is out of the box, the first generation RX-7. Like I said, this casting is really cool. I think the wheels that they picked for it they fit the car perfectly, honestly. But let's get down to a brief history on the first generation RX-7. The first RX-7, known as the SA22 at first, was released in 1979. Sold as the Savannah in Japan, the RX-7 was powered by a 1146cc twin-rotor rotary engine designated as the 12A. It produced 100 horsepower and 105 foot-pounds of torque, offered in a 4-speed, 5-speed, and 3-speed automatic. The smaller size of the smooth-spinning rotary engine allowed for a lower center of gravity and a desirable 50-50 front and rear weight distribution. The FB designation came about in 1981 with the second series first generation. The fuel-injected 13B was offered in 1984. So now we move on to the second generation RX-7, the FC. This casting is so awesome. It's so simple and clean, and I don't know what it is about white FCs, but it brings back so many memories of Initial D. But let's get this FC out of there. Getting this FC out of the box, I can see a couple imperfections in the actual casting. Like the paint does look like it's bubbling a little bit. It's not the cleanest paint, and there's a scratch on the scoop. Either way, it's still a really nice casting, but let's go ahead and talk about the RX-7 FC. Produced from 1985 to 1992 and featuring restylings reminiscent of the Porsche 924 and 944, the FC RX-7 was also a huge success. Designed primarily for the North American market, the FC tended toward the softer sport tourer trend of its day. Available in trims like the GXL, GTU, and Turbo 2, the FC introduced the dynamic tracking suspension system, which was to a degree a passive rear steering system, as well as auto-adjusting suspension that changed dampening characters according to the road. The Turbo 2, with 182 horsepower and 183 foot-pound of torque, used a twin-scroll turbocharger which canceled the turbo lag at low engine speeds using the smaller primary chamber, and the secondary chamber opened up at higher revs. A little fact about the FC: the Japanese market only had turbo models. The NA versions were for export markets only, so the turbo cars in Western countries were penalized at the time, which ended up restricting potential sales. Popularity of the RX-7 FC has grown exponentially in the past decade because of the anime Initial D. This car is pretty much one of the hero cars. Moving on to the RX-7 FD. I'm sorry, I thought I pressed record when I was opening this up, but I must have missed it. And I know how important that is to you guys. But can we just take a minute to appreciate the casting of this RX-7 FD? This thing is just so nice. The shade of blue that they're using with the lighter decals on the hood and on the sides, it just really stands out. The FD had a very short history in North America, which we'll get to right now. Launched in 1993, the FD RX-7 had more power than ever. 255 horsepower from a twin-turbo 1.3-liter 13B. The turbos ran sequentially, with the smaller primary turbo creating little turbo lag for when the secondary turbo kicked in. Actually, the 13B REW was the first ever mass-produced sequential twin-turbo system to be exported from Japan. Sub 5 seconds 0 to 60 and weighed just 2,800 pounds, the FD was a number performer. In North America, only 1993 to 1995 model years of the Series 6 FD were sold. Australia received a special version named the RX7 SP in 95 to achieve homologation for racing in the Australian GT Production Car Series and Eastern Creek 12-hour race. Only 25 were made, with an additional 10 built by Mazda to satisfy homologation requirements. But I think what really set the FD apart was its domination in pop culture. Formula D, Initial D, the Fast and Furious franchise, like the FD is always the hero car. I'm just realizing now that I need to dedicate a video to each RX-7 because there's not enough room in this video and there's so much history here. But I also remembered that I have a surprise casting to open up for you guys. It's definitely going to fit the theme, so here it goes. And it is the Mazda RX-3. This casting is actually my favorite among the four rotary cars that I'm showing you right now. This Mazda 3 is just so perfect. That green, the wide body kit, the wheels. So let's get this thing open right now because you got to see this thing in the light. Out of the box, the RX3 really stands out, and that color paint, it's something else in the light. So even though there was an RX4, the RX7 is actually the successor to the RX3. But we've been talking about rotary cars this entire video, and I haven't even shown you guys a clip of what these rotary motors sound like fixed up. So, but excuse the music here. So you heard the yellow RX3, and behind it was a red FB. That was a clip that I was recording back in 2009 when we were leaving JCCS, or the Japanese Classic Car Show. Obviously, there's so much more to talk about when it comes to the history of the RX-7 because we barely scratched the surface. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing because I really enjoy making this content and I don't want you guys to miss out. So thanks again. Thanks for watching.